Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
Hi everyone, this is Orly Davis and this is from Jerusalem with Love. Today is August 12, 2020 and we are here in Israel, the Holy Land, the only Holy Land, hoping for better days for all the world. As we all as one facing the coronavirus and the economic crisis, we find out that some people think that it's a good time to take advantage of the situation, and we have the responsibility to step to the plate and safeguard all the people we care for and make sure that nothing wrong will happen to them. Now, we saw what happened last week in Lebanon, the disasters of a negligence or something, a foul play that we still don't know the answer to. But one thing is for sure, we actually know that we have to take care of Lebanon and it's urgent more than ever. Finally, people can see what's going on there and how a whole country is being taken hostage by an organization that is declared by the world, by many major power as a terrorist organization. It's a time to save Lebanon, we say, and we might have some option. There are some players on the ground that maybe we didn't calculate and maybe they can create a difference. Now, meanwhile, we have the leader of the free world, Donald J. Trump, that he knows what abusive of power is when people are trying to take advantage in the South China Seas and seize the situation and take control over territory and obstruct the flow of business. You know, when business come to Donald Trump, it's so natural to him. He knows what to do, and that's why he created alliances. Those alliances come with incredible force that the House of Congress can build with him if there will be a consensus there to support him and whatever he does. So we're hoping to have a guest in the next section, Congressman. I would be honored to have him on and to talk about what America is doing in this midst of the crisis and how we can solve it. So stay put and we'll be back after this.
Israel is located in one of the most volatile areas in the world. Israel is an island of stability in a sea of war and unrest. In the midst of this turmoil, Israel stands out as a beacon of order and human progress. Each week we update you on what's happening in this, the Jewish state, a true light unto the nations. This is Jay Shapiro. Join me every Thursday on Israel News Talk Radio.
And we are back. It's Orly Davis, and this is from Jerusalem with Love. Today we want to welcome our friends from all around the world, from United States, from Israel, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, Slovakia, Finland, Austria, and Ireland. Hi, everybody. I got a great guest for you. A man that, his work in life is an exemplary, and we are so honored to have Congressman Bacon that is representing the Nebraska 2nd District. His medal decoration is overstanding. His work for the world and duty for the United States is amazing. Congressman Bacon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Orly. It's such an honor to be on with you today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Listen, we have so much to talk about, and we have not much. I really want you to tell me, what do you think about the state of affairs in the world, and the Israeli-American connection? It seems so important these days, especially.
Well, it's been my desire since I've been in the Air Force 30 years, but also now as a congressman, to ensure that the United States and Israel has the closest relationship possible. Israel's the only democracy in the region surrounded by enemies. I believe the United States has a moral obligation to stand by Israel, but beyond just the moral obligation, I believe it's pragmatically also the right thing. We gain from each other. We gain intelligence from Israel, and so it's a mutually beneficial relationship, but it's also the morally right thing to do. And so I want to be a voice. When I got elected in 2016, I didn't just want to be a friend of Israel. I wanted to be a champion of our relationship. So again, it's a pleasure to be on with you this morning.
It's amazing for me to have you. That's a grace of God. Thank you for that. I'm thinking about what you did in the past, and you traveled to Israel a long time ago, and you came back and you helped us self-defend, especially from the incredible force of Iran that makes so much threat to Israel, and you were one of the forces to help us. Tell us about it.
Well, when I was young, my dad would do devotions. We were an evangelical family, and he taught me those who bless Israel will be blessed. And he sent me to Israel at the age of 15, and I remember going to the Holocaust Memorial. This was back in 1979. I know it's changed a lot since then, but I went from having head knowledge of the Holocaust to heart knowledge and really understanding in my soul the pain and the terrible atrocity that occurred in the 1930s and 1940s. And I'll never forget an Israeli from the Knesset after the tour came on our bus, and he goes, "The nation of Israel is here today, so that never happens again." I just remember my heart burned with passion on that statement. I was blessed in 2009 as a colonel in the Air Force. I was given the job to stand up missile defense, partnering with Israel to focus on Iran. And so our team put in a big radar that helps us look into Iran, and we also have satellite systems that help cue that satellite, make it very accurate, or the satellite cues the radar to make it very accurate so that it can guide anti-ballistic missiles and intercept a ballistic missile that's going towards Israel. And so I was very pleased to be a part of that for 2 years. That system's come a long way, and I think Israel has a very good air defense system with this as part of it, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. So when I went there as a congressman, it was such a pleasure to see how the air defense system is working, and I just I had a small part of it, and I'm very proud of it, and it's very important that we help defend Israel from Iran. Iran has lots of ballistic missiles that are aimed at Israel, as well as our bases in the Middle East. We also know that Iran's the largest exporter of terror. They're arming the Shia Hezbollah, but also the Sunni Hamas terrorists. And so, Israel's the target of Iranian aggression, and we got to stand by the Israelis to ensure that Iran knows that if they cross the line, they'll be in a lot of trouble. Won't be just be Israel, also the United States.
I meant to that,
fighting against them.
Congressman Bacon, it's important for them to understand that Americans' influence in the region is everlasting, and the fact that you guys repositioned soldiers and the troops from Germany to outer space just give us more sense to the commitment that you guys have. Because if they ever think that America is, losing its control, they must be wrong. They're reading it wrong, because you guys are changing for repositioning, something that I think it's very smart that Donald Trump did.
Well, I have some mixed feelings about what we're doing in Europe. We have to make clear that we stand by with NATO. NATO is very important as a deterrence to Russia, particularly when it comes to the Baltic states and Poland. And so we want to send a very clear signal that our commitment to NATO is unbreakable and is strong. And so I had mixed feelings about pulling Air Force airmen out of Spangdahlem Airbase in Germany. It's a very important airbase. It's a key airlift node that supplies what we're doing in the Middle East and in Africa. But having said that, there's some positives in this announcement. We're going to have more forces in Poland, which I think is important for deterrence.
Right.
To have more forward deployed forces, so that Russia knows, hey, it's not just Polish forces of NATO. There's also American forces there as well. And most of the troops being changed out of Germany are going to other places in Europe, like some of the fighter squadrons going to Italy. There's going to be some of the assets are going back to England. So in general, the overall troop levels in NATO are about the same. But, I got to point out, Germany is important as part of NATO. If we have a serious military operation, you got to have Germany to bring in forces to Ramstein and Spangdahlem, and it's a vital for a logistics hub. So I think it's important to maintain a good relationship there, and I just want to make sure that we don't break that relationship to a point where it undermines NATO. So I will just tell you, Orly, I think there's some positives. I worry about some of the aspects of this move, too.
I think that it's always good to refresh the troop, because when they get stagnant for too long, they get bored and they are missing the point. And sometimes Germany is, is playing it in a different way, and we just put the line in the sand. I think Germany will get it, and Angela Merkel is a smart woman, and she'll understand. And repositioning is always good, because we have to shuffle the cards, especially now, like in the South China Seas, that the aggression of China is becoming overwhelming, and America put their foot on the ground and say freedom of navigation is something that we are going to take for real, and that's what they are doing. Do you think that it's it's something that they understand? That the South China Sea is.
But first of all, Germany, they do need to understand that putting 1.1% of their GDP into defense is too little.
Right.
And this is what's motivating the president primarily, is that Germany's not lived up to 2% defense spending. They're only doing about 1.1%, and that's the reason the president's doing much of these decisions in NATO. When it comes to China, you are absolutely right. If we acquiesce to China saying, okay, you control the South China Sea, we'll just back out, then that will be the first step. They'll take the next step and another step. Really, China, under President Xi, sees themselves as the Asian superpower now,
right,
and they want America to retreat, leaving our allies by themselves, whether that's Taiwan or Japan, Australia. They want us to pull back and just leave that part of the world to China. But in 30, 40 years, China sees itself as the world's superpower, and that should scare us all. China doesn't believe in human rights. They don't believe in freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom of religion.
Right.
And a world that is dominated by China will be a much harsher, more savage world. And so America can't retreat, but we can't do it by ourselves either. We have to ensure that we have strong allies, because China, their GDP is going to match ours soon and probably at some point exceed ours. So it will take good allies to ensure that the values of freedom, human decency, that they're the leading voices in the world, and not the weaker voice in the world.
Absolutely, and I think that your example of, we want to see the leader of the world that give us freedom, that give us opportunity, not being subjected to oppression like they're doing in Hong Kong, and like they're trying, to push the limits in even in India. They even try to go on the limit in the Himalaya. They're pushing the Indians there a month ago. Now, I want you to tell me just before you go. Oh, you got disconnected? You got disconnected. Guys, we hope that you're here with me. It might be reconnected soon, but Congressman Don Bacon is really a great man, a wonderful force of power that understand the complication of abusive of power that is being taking place right now as we face the major world crisis, and giving it, to the right people is so essential. That's why we need Congress to be back in the Republican hands and to be back in the hands of Donald Trump after November election. It's because it is the only man we can trust that the world will get back to normal. I wouldn't trust anybody else, especially, you don't change the players in the middle of a game or in the middle of a race, or especially in the middle of a crisis. So let's go to a break, and I hope to get him back. If not, we thank God for him.
The Tamar Yona Show.
Tamar? She's sassy.
She's smart.
She's funny.
But she's also a real Jewish mother.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tamar Yona. And yes, I can be all of those things. But at Israel News Talk Radio, I'm here to bring you the news stories and guests that you may not hear anywhere else. Join me live on air Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays for the most unique and bold talk radio in Israel.
The Tamar Yona Show.
The return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel was prophesied in the Bible thousands of years ago and is coming true today. Shalom. Join me, Josh Wander, on Israel Unplugged. Listen in as we delve into the spiritual and physical aspects of the Jewish return to Zion. We'll discuss the biblically mandated, historic, and of course practical understandings of this incredible transition from exile to redemption. That's Israel Unplugged, every Monday on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com.
Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Did you know this psalm and many others were composed by a Jewish shepherd and musician who later became a king? Would you like to know some of the inner meanings of psalms to help you connect with God and strengthen your soul? An exciting and easy-to-read book is now available which will help you do just that. Software for the Soul, Psalms for Everyone, available on Kindle, Audible, and Amazon.com. Software for the Soul.
Modesty at the beach? It isn't just about body image, it's about feeling good. Modest swimsuits, so we don't get burned by the sun.
So we won't get ogled by strangers.
So we'll feel free to express ourselves without the need to expose ourselves.
Let Marcy Modest help you to cover up what you want, how you want.
Made in Israel.
Visit marcymodest.com. That's MARSEA modest.com.
And get a 10% discount on your first purchase.
2 new shows on Israel News Talk Radio.
The return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel was prophesied in the Bible thousands of years ago and is coming true today. Shalom. Join me, Josh Wander, on Israel Unplugged. Listen in as we delve into the spiritual and physical aspects of the Jewish return to Zion. We'll discuss the biblically mandated, historic, and of course practical understandings of this incredible transition from exile to redemption. That's Israel Unplugged, every Monday on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com.
How did a nice Jewish girl from Delaware end up living in Israel? Shalom! I'm Natalie Sapinski. Join me on my show, Returning Home. Meet different people who have moved to Israel. Hear their personal stories, their highs, their lows, and everything in between. Each week, we talk to experts on immigration and the process of moving to Israel. Listen to Returning Home every Thursday, only on Israel News Talk Radio.
And we are back. It's Orly Davis, and this is from Jerusalem with Love. We have Congressman Bacon with us. We got disconnected for a minute, but they gave me an opportunity to tell you what a force that we have in Congress and how much I appreciate him. And coming from Nebraska, beautiful country, beautiful people. That's so important to know. 2nd District, God bless you. You have a wonderful, wonderful congressman to represent you. Now, Congressman Bacon, thank you for coming back. What do you think? What's happened in Lebanon? What happened? How are we going to take care of this? This is a mess.
First of all, what's going on in Lebanon is such a tragedy. But that explosion that was one of the scariest things I've seen. It was such a huge explosion, and to see that shock wave just level buildings, and the loss of human life is terrible. So I know on behalf of all of us, I know your listeners feel the same way. Our heartfelt condolences and prayers to the people of Lebanon that were just hurt so bad in Beirut. And and I look at what's gone on in Lebanon the last 3 or 4 decades, and it's just heartbreaking in general to see the balkanization of Lebanon, and it's the Syrian influence and the Iranian influence that we see, particularly on the border of Israel there, and just the factualization. And Beirut, it's one of the most beautiful cities in the world, and it has that rich history. I just hope someday we can get back to where Lebanon is a unified country and independent and sovereign, and doesn't have the outside influences that are undermining it.
Right, like Hezbollah that took control over and actually responsible to the port and all that chemical weapon that were stored there for years with the negligence. You think that those chemical weapons were the one that was assisted by the Russian, moving them from Syria? Are those the same one, or are they just a different kind of chemical?
It's hard for me to know. I mean, I don't want to speculate if I don't really have the facts. But it's very suspicious to have that amount of ammonium nitrate just there in storage. And we all know that it's used a lot for car bombs and truck bombs, and to have it there. But it looks to me like it was accidental igniting of all that ammonium nitrate, but it was surely negligence that it was there like that and not protected. And, the loss of human life is just terrible. I know it's putting Beirut and the government through a lot of strain, but there needs to be accountability.
And you guys are helping out. America been assisting from the beginning with the French people that already sent Macron over there. And, it will be the opportunity for them to liberate themselves from the government that abused them, and definitely from Hezbollah that been controlling the country. And, the International Court of Justice was about to submit the result from the Hariri killing, and they had Hezbollah as the culprit. Don't you think Lebanon needs to be liberated finally?
Well, Hezbollah, we have to be very clear, and we have to repeat it often. Hezbollah does have control of much of Lebanon, but it's not the Hezbollah. It's Iran funding them and arming them and training them that gives them that ability to do so. And it's weakened Lebanon. I think it hurts the people of Lebanon. It's clearly a threat to the people of Israel to have the Hezbollah on their border with missiles from Iran and armed soldiers that are very well trained in bases in Iran itself. And that's what we're seeing today. The Iranians are the number one exporter of terror, and Hezbollah are big recipients of their aid and weapons and training. And that's what gives them access into Lebanon, and it's terrible.
Right, but I want to mention something. In 2006, Israel had the second Lebanon war. Israel been confronting them for some time, and there was a missile that was launched to one of the ships to Israel and actually hurt it, and it was a Chinese made. So I want to say that if there is any way that China is putting her hands in the region too, we must be on alert on this. And this is a confirmed thing from 2006. It's a missile that was sent, and I was I was really surprised that the Chinese weapon is in the hands of Hezbollah.
It could very well be that China did that, or it could be possible too that Iran bought it from China and then used their network to get that missile into the Hezbollah. And we know that Iran is funnels these weapons into Hezbollah, so it could be China, but I bet you more likely Iran bought it from China and then put it into the hands of these terrorists.
Absolutely. Now the world is going to be, changing soon when this election is coming, and foreign influence is a threat to the election. What do you think about the selection of the second in command for the VP position of Biden? I was surprised he chose a woman, but you never know. I just hope that President Trump can win easily.
Well, I sure do too, because the philosophy of the Biden-Harris ticket will not be pro-Israel. It will be weak on our defense. It will be most issues that I believe in, they oppose. I would say on the one good thing, what I love about our country, but also in Israel, that people of male or female, or whatever your origin is, can make it to the top of your country and our country here, and that's a good thing. So I'm proud of that. That America, hard work and character can get you ahead in freedom-loving countries. But that aside, I don't agree with their philosophy at all. They are weak on defense. They want to raise our taxes. They will not stand by our allies in the same way that President Trump has. We saw under the previous administration, they made that terrible deal with Iran, sending $150 billion to the Iranian government, which allowed them to arm their forces, arm their allies that are terrorists. And you would bet that Joe Biden will go back to that kind of philosophy where our friends will be put at risk, and they'll be supporting people who are adversaries.
Yes, they want to renew. Kamala Harris said that they're going to renew the accord with Iran. It's something that we're not supposed to even happen, never happen again, because you don't give the bad guys the power to regenerate their forces like the money was doing for Iran. Now, the sanctions are coming, but please, let's talk about the interior matter of America as far as the civil riots of Antifa and what's happening on the ground. How are we going to make it stop? It's concern to all of us.
We need Republican leadership, because if you look at Republican governors and Republican mayors, you don't have these riots going on. In Nebraska, we have a Republican governor, we have a Republican mayor of Omaha, and there were 2 days of riots, and she brought in the Army Guard, put in a curfew, and cleaned it up like nobody's business. But if you go to Portland and Seattle, you got a Democratic governor, Democratic mayors, and they are weak. They will not intervene, and while these rioters are burning buildings, attacking police headquarters, they stand by and watch. And so I'm hoping the voters of these states and cities say, Democratic leadership puts us at risk. And so we need to vote. We need to elect people that believe in protecting its citizens.
We need to push the Congress to become a Republican again. We really need to take control over this, because these riots not just jeopardize the safeguards of America, jeopardize the safeguards of the whole world, because we depend upon you. America is the leader of the free world, and we want you to be strong and give us an example. But they need to stop and take control over that. And I'm trusting you will help us do that.
Well, we're going to work hard. I'm in a very purple district, by the way. I have the largest urban-suburban district of all the Republican seats, and so our district's 51-49, and so pray that we do a good job so that we do well in November. We're going to have to really work hard to win.
I will definitely pray for you, Congressman Don Bacon, and I hope that everybody pray with us, because we need America strong, and I need you guys to keep Donald Trump in place, not just because I am an American, but it's because I love the way America is, and freedom and liberty is something that you have to fight for sometimes, and that's the time that we're standing up. And you guys are doing a tremendous job. I really pray for you, and God bless you, and thank you so much for the honor of giving me today. And I hope that we have you soon again, Congressman Don Bacon.
I would be honored to come back again, Orly. I appreciate getting to chat with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed day. God bless you from the Holy Land. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much, you guys. It's amazing. I know that we have less than 2 minutes to go, and there is so much on the show today because the state of Israel is in condition to go to a fourth election. I really don't want to see that happening. But if they don't pass the budget in 2 weeks, we're going to ring the bell and they're going to restart again. So in the next and the last segment, we're going to talk about what can happen in a new election and if it's going to be the same routine over again and if Bibi Netanyahu is going to still hold power after all this. It will be amazing. So I hope that you guys stay put. We will go to a break. And we'll talk to you then, okay? Stay put.
In a time where feelings have become fact, where rational thought and common sense has disappeared, one man stands above it all.
I'm Howie Sobiker, your political hitman.
Political Hitman airs every Tuesday at 11:59 p.m. North American time, 7 a.m. Israeli time, only on Israel News Talk Radio.
Are you interested in transforming your life, drawing closer to the Creator, and uncovering the deeper meanings and hidden treasures in the Hebrew Bible?
Then join me, Rav Yitzhak Michelson,
and me, William Hall,
on the Science of Kabbalah, where we are seeking to narrow the gap between what we understand of our physical and spiritual worlds. So make sure to tune in every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Israel time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on Israel News Talk Radio.
And we are back. It's Orly Davis, and this is From Jerusalem with Love. We had the honor to have Congressman Bacon from Nebraska. What a great guy. What a great story. You should follow this guy. I know champion when I see one, and trust me, he is one. Now, I have another champion to introduce to you. If you don't know about him, I must tell you that. If we have an election in Israel, it will be okay. Bibi will win again, and then we're going back to routine. Okay, so let's not worry about that. But let's talk about Lebanon. Lebanon, we are the Jewish state. We are supposed to shine light upon you. Okay, so I'm giving you the light from our side just to show you the way. You don't have to take anything, but I'm telling you. You got a major player on the ground in Lebanon, a guy that he escaped from Japan. Now, Japan, please don't get mad with us because he's a great player, and sometimes, the routine of a different country can change a man. Carlos Goshen, I call him Goshen, but Gon, because it's spelled with an S. Carlos was born in Brazil. Is a Lebanese and is a French resident too. He was the CEO of Nissan and the CEO of Renault and the CEO of Mitsubishi. They made alliances together. Well, I don't know if he was the CEO of Mitsubishi too, but what this guy did, he took Nissan from the $20 billion in debt and to a profit. It was an impossible mission that he made. But what happened is that while he was extending his influence and making it powerful, because he became the alliances with Renault, they asked him to come back again aboard. And he was working hard and he was doing all this reception, which probably was extra, too much, and whatever the story behind the scene, I understood that something that he was not really intentionally did that. Now, Japan is asking by Interpol to extradite him. They cannot from Lebanon and from France because They have no extradition ruling between them, but they can with his wife. Now, they took him and put him in jail for a long time, couldn't see his wife, couldn't talk, couldn't have a lawyer to defend himself. He was, he was completely alone. So he knew that the only way to get a justice is by running out of the country. So he admitted that he did wrong to Japan and run without their permission right out. But he wants a justice. So he said that he's facing trial anywhere because he didn't mismanage the fund, or he got too much power. They start calling him a samurai. Now, he ran and he ended up in Lebanon. And now that you're looking for a leader to reorganize Lebanon, to take it from the midst of the incredible crisis, do the right thing, get him on board, help him out. America, I really want you guys to understand, we have a great player. I was listening to him from the day that he actually ran away. It happens by all of a sudden. He got on TV, on the press. It was December 30th, 2019, and he was expressing the situation to the world just to let them know that he wants to be to have justice done, okay, to him, because he thinks that it was, taken with injustice, okay? So he has the right to face a just trial. Now, Japan might consider pardoning him because for all the good things that he did for Japan, and help him maybe to restore Lebanon, because you will save a whole country. And you don't want to have him, we can have some kind of understanding and, a pardon and forgiveness and all the plea that you ask. But you guys need to let him run his course in Lebanon. God doesn't put people in a problem without finding a solution. That's Mr. Carlos Ghosn say. He is the most amazing creature that can come to the Middle East and help us out to liberate Lebanon, to get rid of all this monkey businesses going on in the government there, and start leading it from a business factor. Because the business is the most important thing that we need to pay attention to, because it's influenced how we can deal with the coronavirus. And by the way, congratulations, Russia. They say that they found immunization for the coronavirus, and President Putin said that his own daughter took. So congratulations, and I hope it works, and I hope that you had the courage to do it fast. Yes, the West is slow on this, and they have so much to say. It's not happening. No, but congratulations. So maybe Russia will change her rule and will show the world that it can save us instead of being a threat. And this accord between, NATO against Russia may be shifted to a collaboration with Russia. God willing, we'll see that happening, because, good guys are always good guys. And if you are helping the world, it means that you are on the right way to help us. So we need to take control of the economy. And the economy of the world that was neglected by the policymaker for too long needs to being in charge. And the world leaders needs to be responsible and be committed to help the growth. And by having Donald Trump, I can trust America will be on the growth in no time at all once we start settling this coronavirus crisis. The Middle East can flourish again if we have a businessman like Carlos Ghosn doing the job, and maybe helping also with changing the regime in Syria, because it's destroyed. After you destroy the whole country, what do you expect to happen? You need to go change whatever you do and start reconstruction. Those refugees needs to come back, and we need to have a motion. It's like, I know that they called Carlos Ghosn a refugee, but is refugee from injustice, he says. So we must come to a conclusion that we need to help settle that matter. He's the man of international trade, and he's a citizen of the world. And sometimes the rules of one country can be subjected to others in a very oppressive way. So sometimes the difference of culture can pay the price on those people. So we really, really ask for Japan to be merciful and look in this. It was a struggle of power between the leaders of Nissan, and once you have the help of others, you can blame anything on anyone. And he was one player in the game, and he was out of his country. Now he's in Lebanon, he's back. Maybe he can resurrect his country. So please help the world get better. We need those good people to work and do justice. Sure, well, that's important. That's the base of redemption, justice. And if we have here also in Israel the justice system that will know what justice is for real and not bend it as they wish, or not flex it if it's somebody they know, and if they don't abuse it, that will be a good day in the Holy Land. Because at the end of the day, Zion, Jerusalem, will be redeemed with justice, and her captive will be released by charity. So we're giving charity to the world by helping other countries, and I hope that our soldiers that are captured by Hamas in Gaza will be released and come to rest in peace in their home land of Israel. It's amazing time in history. It's amazing time that we are making a difference here. I know that life brings us the opportunity. Just be faithful that it all will be changing for the best, because whatever we didn't see before, like family, children, elderly, that they're alone, now we see them. Now we can see those eyes and get, more careful. But in all this, I want you to remember, please safeguard the children. Those are the most incredible souls that are subjected to the pressure. God gave you these children to protect them. Those are the gifts of humanity. Those are the leader of the next generation and the next after this. Please safeguard, teach them well, and give them hope and courage. And tell them that it's going to go away soon. Don't let them learn, to be scared of the world. Make sure they love the world, because life is beautiful and the soul that God gave us is amazing. Please trust in God that He knows that He gave it to you because you deserve it, and be worthy of this. Be good, be happy, and remember that we always here on Israeli News Talk Radio will tell you how it is. And we always love to pray with you and make sure that you have a strength and power to go on to the next day, knowing that we love you and we pray for you, and we hold all our candles lit just to see you succeed. Because with your success, it's the success of the world. And we can see that we are a good messenger to God. So His world is worthy. That's what's important, that we preserve this world. And we'll have to talk about climate change soon, one day. All right, God bless you all. Be good, be safe, be happy, and have fun, okay? Come on. All the best. Ciao, ciao.
Where can you get the inside news on Israel? At Israel News Talk Radio, we're dedicated to sharing Israel's inside story with the world by providing our listeners with news on Israeli politics, current affairs, and Israeli Jewish culture. The Israel News Talk Radio homepage also provides you, the listener, with useful information at your fingertips, with scrolling news headlines, weather, currency exchange, Shabbat candlelighting times, and so much more. Our radio programming is always accessible and on demand. We operate absolutely free of charge for everyone, everywhere. If you love what we do, partner with us now by becoming an Israel News Talk Radio supporter. With your support, you'll be inscribed on our Israel News Talk Radio Wall of Fame. There's nothing like us in the world. Be part of something great. Israel News Talk Radio. Straight talk from Israel.
Howdy, this is Rita from League City, Texas, now living in Israel. And though my heart may have belonged to Texas, it now belongs to Israel and all the fantastic show hosts at Israel News Talk Radio.
Hi, this is Michael Solomon from Kiryat Arba, Israel. And why do I love listening to Israel News Talk Radio? Because I love listening to the interesting interviews they do and their news reporting that most other media sources don't cover.
Hey, this is Nicoleko from Malmö, Sweden. It gets pretty cold here in Sweden, so I love cuddling up with a warm cup of tea while I listen to Israel News Talk Radio.
Hey everybody, this is Frank Morris from Tennessee. Me and my dog Buster really love listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
News, opinion, and more. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.